So second one today, because we just had a little bit to finish up on the first one. These first few lessons are going to go really quickly since they're reviews. So students will be able to, you guys will be able to review the order of operations, section 1.2. So order of operations, what else do we know this as? Okay, Courtney?
PEMDAS.
PEMDAS, okay. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally maybe too as well, okay. So PEMDAS, okay, stands for, or is just the abbreviation we use. Okay. P stands for parentheses, E exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction, okay? And we'll talk about these a little bit more in depth going through this box. So, step one is evaluate the expression inside grouping symbols. Inside grouping symbols, okay? We do anything going on inside of grouping symbols first. What are grouping symbols, okay? Anyone think of some different types of grouping symbols we might know? Sarah?
Parentheses.
Parentheses are the most common one, okay? So instead of parentheses, you can see there's this little asterisk here, and it comes back down to here too, okay? Courtney?
Like the box, like the
Yeah.
box squares or whatever.
Yep, we call them brackets. Brackets. Brackets are another type of grouping symbol, okay? Brackets. Eli? The squiggly one. Yeah, so those are called braces, okay? Kind of like what goes on your teeth, okay? A brace, the squiggly one, okay? And then we have one more, which we don't necessarily think of as grouping symbols as often, but it's absolute value. Are you guys familiar with the absolute value of things? Okay, maybe a little bit. Absolute value is also a type of grouping symbol where we do the things inside the absolute value before we go outside the absolute value. So after we take care of everything inside of grouping symbols, we do the P in PEMDAS, okay? We evaluate all exponents. So the next thing we do is we take care of the exponents, okay? And I'm sorry, I need to make that blank longer. I made a note of that so that way I can do that for next year. So we take care of all exponents, okay? Oh, excuse me, I meant to say one more thing about grouping symbols. If there is more than one grouping symbol, sometimes we'll have parentheses inside of brackets. Sometimes we'll have the parentheses inside of the brackets. You start with the innermost grouping symbol, so you work inside out. When there's more than one layer of them, you work inside out. Okay. Step 3 is to multiply and or divide in order from left to right. Multiply and or divide in order from left to right. Common misconception here, people often think that you do all your multiplication, then you do all your division. That's not true. You go through and you do it as you see it. So if you see division before multiplication, you do the division first, then you do the multiplication after, okay? I don't know if any of you see on social media those different problems where it's like, oh, what's the answer to this math problem, okay? And it's an order of operations problem. And you see people arguing in the comments about it. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? Okay, a few of you, okay. So if you see that kind of stuff, that's what this comes down to. It's usually this rule right here, okay? It's usually that rule right there. I was actually at a wedding a few weeks ago, and while I was sitting at a table, some other people, they were like, so you're a math teacher? I'm like, yeah, I am. And not only is it the coolest job in the world, but, oh, you have a question for me, okay. And so they're like, hey, this was like something we found on Facebook, and it was like one of those like classic math problems on Facebook. And I was like, some people get 16, some people get 1, what is it? And I was like, oh, well, it's this because, it's like you have to do multiplication and division at the same time. I'm like, oh, I never knew that. I'm like, yeah, it's common misconception. Next one is left to right as well, but it's addition and or subtraction. So add and or subtract. Add and or subtract. Okay, but you kind of came up funky there. Okay? In order from left to right. So once again, if you see subtraction before addition, you do the subtraction first, okay? So people think that because the A comes before S, we have to do all addition first. That's not true. Okay? Any questions on that? Anyone still need this before I move on? Okay. Like the worst thing is like when a teacher moves on too early, right? Okay. So evaluate the expression. So we're gonna practice with this first one, okay? So 48 divided by 2 cubed times 3 plus 5. Have a lot going on there, okay? Order of operation tells us what are we doing first here, okay? Okay, we're doing exponents. We would do parentheses first, but do we have any? No, so take care of our exponent first, okay? So we don't do 48 divided by 2, we do 2 cubed. And what is 2 cubed? 8, okay? So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to just rewrite everything else. 48 divided by hasn't been touched yet. 2 cubed becomes 8. Times 3 hasn't been touched yet. Plus 5 hasn't been touched yet. So if you look here, the only thing that changed was we took care of the exponent. 2 cubed became 8, so we replaced it. All the other numbers and operations stayed the same. So according to the order of operations, what comes next? Division, multiplication, or addition? Okay, Brady. Multiplication, not quite, okay? Multiplication comes in the same step as what, Alice? Division. And now which one are we going to do first here though, Alice? Division, and why?
Because it's left to right.
Left to right, and it's the furthermost left, okay? So it's the furthermost left. So we do this division first. So 48 divided by 8. Okay, Jayden, what is that? Put you on the spot here. It is 6. Okay, good work, Jayden. Okay, so we have 6. This times 3 is still there, and the plus 5 is still there, okay? So 48 divided by 8 is 6 there, times 3 plus 5, okay? Now, what would we do next here, okay? What are you thinking, Isaac?
Multiply.
Multiply. 6 times 3, and we get what? Isaac again.
Oh, me? 24.
Nope, not quite. That's 6 times 4. So 6 less than 24 is?
18.
18. Very good. 1 less 6. So you do 6 less, you get 18. So now we have 18 plus 5. And now we're down to this final operation. And what is 18 plus 5 here, Ava? 23. So 23 would be our answer. Okay. Have you guys ever heard these called a certain type of problem by chance? Okay. Okay, maybe not. Okay. So I heard a group last year. My freshman last year said that they heard these called funnel problems because it looks like you're going down into a funnel. Okay, you're just getting smaller and smaller each step of the way, aren't you? Okay. So I've heard them called funnel problems before. So that might ring a bell there. Everything just keeps getting smaller. You don't have to call them that. So any questions on that first one? Why we did something a certain way? All right. I want you guys to try number 2 on your own. I want you guys to try number 2 on your own. Oh, excuse me. Okay. So number 2, just a heads up, guys, is down here beneath it. Okay. I messed up on the ordering of this one. I fixed it for the next year, but I already messed up on it for this year. Okay. So 2 is underneath it right here. So the one right below number 1 is number 2. So work on that one right now. Once you have it or think you have it or have questions, raise your hand. Once you have it, think you have it, or have questions, raise your hand. Okay? Very good. Very good. Very good. Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's correct. Very good. Very good. Alright, let's talk about this one up here. So on number 2, parentheses come first. So we'll do inside 8 minus 3, and we get what? 5. Okay. Now we have multiplication. 3 inside this parenthesis. 3 plus 2 is 5. Okay. So what's it mean when you have something next to a parenthesis like that? Multiply. So we have multiplication. Okay. Now we'll talk about more next class how it really doesn't matter the order when you only have multiplication, you can actually multiply in any order. But we'll keep going order of operations. Y is left to right. 5 times 3 is 15. So 15 times 5. Okay. If you don't know off the top of your head, feel free to do that off to the side as well. But what is it? Okay. Brady. 75. Very good. So 75 would be our answer here. Any questions on that one? Okay. And if you guys like the funnel, okay, this one is another funnel problem here. Okay. Now let's turn our attention up to number 3 here. I want you guys to try number 3. Now keep in mind, guys, this one's very sneaky with this bracket next to this 12. This is a 12, not a 2. Okay, it's a 12, not a 2. Okay, you got a very different answer. So just a heads up on there. That is a 12. Once you have it, have questions, or think you have it, raise your hand on this one. Okay. So let's write out each step, and that might help you catch those little mistakes. No, you're good. You're good. Yeah, no problems. Yeah, there you go. I know it's kind of that was the name. I should like this. Yes. Sorry. Okay, sorry. I must have missed something. I'm sorry. It's my bad. Let's talk about this one up here, okay? So, multiple sets of parentheses, what do we do first? Okay, Ellie.
6 times
Yeah, 6 minus 2, we do the innermost set of parentheses first, okay? So we saw this 4, we saw the bracket, 12 divided by, and then 6 minus 2 is 4 there. Bracket, and still the square, okay? So now, we still have the grouping symbol, we still have the bracket, so we have to do that next. So we have 12 divided by 4, okay? And then Eli, what is that? It is 3, okay? So now we have 4, bracket, 3, and bracket 2, or squared, excuse me, I said 2, squared. So if we remember, 4 outside of the bracket means we're doing what operation? Multiplication. So what comes first between multiplication and the exponent? Exponent, okay? And Isaac, what is 3 squared?
3 squared is
3 squared is what?
9.
9, yep. So we have 4 now times 9. And Courtney, what was that?
36.
36, very good. So we end up getting 36 as our answer there. Once again, you can do that funnel if you would like. That was a really bad one, though, wasn't it? Okay. And let's go ahead and work on number 4 here, okay? And once again, once you have it or think you have it, feel free to raise your hand. Real quick though, I know it's pretty hard to tell. I need to change this. It's 2 to the 5th minus 6 times 2. So on the top, the first symbol is a minus, subtraction. Second symbol is times. And on the bottom, 3 to the 3rd minus 5 times 3 minus 2. So it goes subtract times subtract, okay? Just a heads up on the bottom, okay? So sorry for any confusion that caused there, but yeah, raise your hand once you have or have questions.
What?
Oh, okay, gotcha. So 2 to the 5th, let's go back and see what is 2 to the 5th. And then 32 minus 6 times 2. So what did you do?
we can try to get that.
I don't know.
Okay, we'll talk about this one real quick up here. So even if you're not done, that's okay. We'll follow along up here. So with the fraction bar, we haven't talked about this one, so I was kind of just testing you to see how you do with it. And it looked like most of you are doing really well with it, okay? So with the fraction, we do all the numerator, and we do all the denominator, and then we do that division at the end, okay? We treat the fraction as if there's like a parenthesis around the top and a parenthesis around the bottom there, okay? We treat that fraction as if there's parentheses there. So we do the top, we do the bottom, and then we actually do the division after all of that, okay? But it looked like from what I saw, you guys were doing that, which is awesome. So since we're looking at the top first, I guess, just because we go top to bottom, okay? What comes first here, the exponent, the subtraction, or the multiplication, okay? Emily? Exponent. And what is 2 to the 5th? Okay, it is 32, okay? Now, if you are perhaps having a problem with that one, if you're having a problem with the exponent, something you can do over to the side is say, okay, well, 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, okay? You have 5 of them there. Well, what is 2 times 2? If I draw a little arrow and I say 2 times 2 is?
4.
Okay, I get 4, okay? Let me use my pen. What about this 2 times 2? What's that?
No,
It's 4 again, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you can call it 8 too. There's a couple different ways to do it. And this 2 we haven't used yet, so I'm going to drag it down. Okay, so now what's 4 times 4? 16, okay? And I'm going to drag this 2 down again. So now it's 16 times 2. 32. So that's one way to do it, okay? And then I heard a couple other people saying the more traditional way to do it, okay? The more traditional way to do it, which would be saying, okay, well, 2 to the first is 2. 2 squared, so 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. That's, okay, first, second, third, fourth, times 2 is 32. So you can go down that way as well. But then something you just have to make sure is you start with the actual number itself being to the first power. Any question on the exponent there? Okay. So we have 32 minus 6 times 2 on the top. On the bottom, we'll do the exponent first again. What is 3 to the third here, okay? What is 3 to the third, okay? Jocelyn, what are you thinking?
27.
It is 27, okay? We can do the same thing there, 3 times 3 times 3, or 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27. And we still have this minus 5 times 3 minus 2. So now we turn our attention to the top again, 32 minus 6 times 2. What are we going to do next here, okay? Abby, Simmons' mom.
Don't know.
Okay, would we do, so what operations do we see here? We see what operations?
Just 6 times 2.
We would do 6 times 2, very good. We do multiplication before subtraction. And what is 6 times 2?
12.
12. So you have 32 minus 12 on the top. On the bottom here, what operation are we going to do first out of the 3 that we see, Courtney?
5 times 3.
We're going to do 5 times 3, that multiplication before subtraction. So you have 27 minus what number? What is 5 times 3? 15. Yeah, 27 minus 15 minus 2. So now on the top again, 32 minus 12. Well, what is 32 minus 12? Okay, Haven. 20, very good. So I'm going to put an equal sign and put it over here because I'm running out of room if I just go straight down on this one. So 32 minus 12 is 20. Okay, on the bottom here, 27 minus 15 minus 2. Okay, so now, question, does it matter which one we do first?
What do you mean?
What does it matter which subtraction we do first?
No. Left yes. First. No, it doesn't.
Okay, I heard some yes and some no. Let's talk about
right
it.
to left.
Okay, I heard some talking about it. I heard yes and I heard no. So let's try it. Let's do 27 minus 15. What is 27 minus 15? 12. Okay, so we'd be left with 12 minus 2. What is 12 minus 2? Okay, so we have 20 over 10 this way. Now let's see if we went the other way, what we would get, okay? So let's restart here kind of. And we had 20 over 27 minus 15 minus 2, okay? So it's kind of the same starting point we just had, right? Here, let's do 15 minus 2 first, and let's see what we get. What is 15 minus 2? 13, okay? So here we have 20 over 27 minus 13. What's 27 minus 13? 14. Did we get the same thing?
No.
No. So are these, can we do it either way?
No.
No, because we didn't get the same thing. If you had got the same one, okay, it'd be the same thing. So which one's correct? Okay, Courtney.
Oh, the 20 over 10.
The 20 over 10 is, okay? It's not just because of those who had that I said that was good. If we go back here, add and or subtract in order from left to right, okay? If we, you might recall, Courtney, go ahead, what's your question?
Didn't you say if there is like 2 addition problems, we can do either?
Yeah, and I did. That's a great point. I was going to bring that up, and so thank you for asking that question. If we have 2 addition problems, you can do those either order. But the thing is, subtraction doesn't work that way. Okay, we'll talk about next class when it does work that way, when it doesn't work that way. Okay, but subtraction we have to do in order. Okay, from left to right, unless we change it to addition, which we'll talk about next class. Okay, if it's just strictly subtraction, you have to do it in order left to right to get the right answer. Okay, so this magenta color is not correct. The light blue is, it is 20 divided by 10, and then now, what is 20 divided by 10, Josh? Sorry, I couldn't hear you. 2, very good. These maths make it a little more difficult. So the answer is 2. Any questions on this last one besides what we've already asked? Great. Okay, so next we have, I was thinking, I misread where I was at in the notes. So now we have evaluating algebraic expression, okay? So to evaluate an algebraic expression, we're going to replace the variables with their values. So we have variables, and we're going to replace them with their values. Then we're going to find the value of the numerical expression using ordered operations. So the first half is going to be new. We're going to substitute in the values. And then the second half is going to be exactly what we just did here, okay? Now, we have this expression, x times a quantity of, we're going to say the quantity of for that, y cubed plus 8 divided by 12. Now we're saying in this scenario, evaluate this if x is equal to 3 and y equals 4. So we have this expression, and we're asked to evaluate it, figure out what it equals if x is this and y is this. So our first step is to plug in x and y, okay? So 3 is going to go in place of y. So, or excuse me, I said x. I said y, excuse me. 3 is going to go in place of x because it's equal to x. Equal means it's the same thing as it, okay? It's the same thing as it, so it can directly substitute for that, okay? You might have heard that word in math before, substitute. Okay, we're going to use that a lot this year. So in place of the x, I'm going to put a 3, okay? In place of the x, I'm going to put a 3. Now something I always do, okay, is when I substitute in for the x, I'm going to put it in parentheses here. I'm going to put it in parentheses. My parentheses kind of dragged a bit there. Do it again. Okay. So I'm going to put it in parentheses there, just because it helps me keep it a little more straight. I think it might benefit you as well. Then we have y cubed. Okay. Hey Raquel, what's up? Okay. I see that real quick. Awesome, thank you. Okay, we are finishing up our 1-2 notes. Okay. Now we have y cubed. Instead of y, does anyone know what I'm going to be writing here? Instead of y, does anyone know what I'm going to be writing here? Okay.
A number.
Okay, a number. Okay, not quite just a number, but what number, Alice? Okay, 4. We're going to write 4. Y is equal to 4 here. It's the same thing. So we're going to be putting 4. And now what am I going to do to this 4? Okay, Courtney. I'm going to put the exponent on it because that's what was happening with the y, and we're pretending this is the same thing as the y because they're equal. And notice I'm going to put this 4 in parentheses as well. You don't have to, just it can help save us from some little mistakes later, okay? And then I still have to add 8 and divide by 12. So if we look from this first expression to the second expression, the first one to the second, what are the only things that changed? What are the only things that changed? Ellie, can you give me one thing that changed from the first expression to the second? Okay, do we see all the same stuff here in this top one as the bottom one? No, what's something that's different? It's shorter. do we see the x there anymore? And what do we see instead? The 3, yeah, the 3's in the x's spot. Okay, the 3's in the x's spot. Okay, so that'd be one thing that's different. Can somebody give me another thing that is different here, okay? Can somebody give me another thing that's different here? Emily.
The Y and the 4.
Yeah, the y and the 4 are switched around, okay? Everything else here is the same. We still have something being cubed inside the parentheses. We still have it being added 8. We still have it being divided by 12. So now, if I just gave you this one, does that look pretty similar to what we just had? Yeah. So we would go ahead and now we can evaluate this one. We can evaluate this one. So what would we take care of first here? Is there something inside this parenthesis that we can do?
No.
No, there's no operations. It's just a number, okay? So Courtney, what would we do first?
We're gonna do the 4 with exponent.
Yeah, we're going to do the 4 with the exponent, okay? Because inside this parenthesis, we have the exponent and we have addition. So inside this parenthesis, we have exponent and addition. So we're going to do the exponent first. Now, 4 cubed, we might not know off the top of our head, which is fine. So we do 4 times 4 times 4, okay? So what's 4 times 4? 16. A lot of times we say 4 times 2 instead of 4 times 4. So 16. Now, you might not know 16 times 4 off the top of your head. That's okay. We can do it. What's 4 times 6? 24. Hey, what's funnier than 24? 25. Every time I laugh, okay? So what's 4 times 1? 4 plus 2? 6. So it's 64. You might have known that before, might not have. 3. And you can keep this in the parentheses, or you can drop the parentheses here because there's nothing else going on in the parentheses. 64 plus 8 divided by 12. So 3 times the quantity is 64 plus 8 divided by 12. My goodness, my divided by went through the whole thing, didn't it? This thing's causing me some issues. Okay? What was that?
Calibrated it yet?
I should calibrate it again, but I'm not sure. Like, I'm not even touching it anymore. Like, my pen's off of it, and it was still doing the draw. Yikes. Big oof. Okay. So now what do we do next here? Add 6.8. Very good, Alice. Okay. Not Alice. Alice is back there. Abby. Allie. What? Abby. Abby. I knew it. Okay. You do better. Okay. So 64 plus 8 is 72. 72. That's a really bad 72. Like historically bad. This thing is dogging me.
Bad vibes today.
Giving me bad vibes. But I'm still going to choose to have a good day. Still going to choose to have a good day. Even though this thing's aggravating. Okay. So, 3 times 72 divided by 12. What comes first? Okay?
3 times 72.
3 times 72. Oof, we're getting big, aren't we? Okay? So, let's do this one off the side if we don't know it. 72 times 3, or 3 times 72. What is 3 times 2?
6.
What's 3 times 7?
21.
Not anyone. Okay? So, 216 divided by 12. Do you guys know that, like, old school vine?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone. Okay? 216 divided by 12. I don't know about y'all, but I might not know off the top of my head. Okay? 216 divided by 12. No shame in doing this math off to the side. Okay? Does 12 go into 2? Nah. Does 12 go into 21 though?
Yes.
Yeah, how many times?
Once.
Once. 1 times 12 is 12. Okay? 91 minus 12 is 9. 12 goes into 96. Does anyone know?
8.
8. Okay? And it goes in evenly because 8 times 12 is actually 96. Okay? If you need to do some guess and check there, that's okay to figure it out. So, it is 18. Woo! Any questions on that one? Okay, what a doozy that was. Okay, what a doozy that was. Okay, so we got one more problem here, and then we're done with the notes today. Okay, how exciting is that? So, evaluate 2 times the quantity of x squared minus y plus z squared. So we have 3 variables this time, x, y, and z. If x is 4, y is 3, z is 2. Okay, Can somebody help me write this one out with numbers instead of variables? Okay, Emily.
So it would be 2 parentheses 4 squared minus 3 parentheses and then plus 2 squared.
Very good, okay? So Emily went through and replaced the x with 4, y with 3, and z with 2. Now you don't have to put parentheses around each of these. I'm going to though, okay, even though it might look annoying. And we'll talk about later when it comes in handy. But I like to do it just as a good habit. You don't have to once again, but it's a good habit to get into because there's some stuff later on. There's a few scenarios where it can be a little bit tricky if you don't. Okay, it can be a little bit tricky if you don't. And when they come up, I'll kind of show them to you. But I like to just get in the habit now. But if it's too confusing for you right now, you're like, overloaded by parentheses, I don't know what's going on. Okay, that's okay. So now, how would we solve this? What would be our first step here, okay? Because everything else is the same now, except for our variables and now there's numbers. Abby, the exponent, what is 4 squared? 16, good job, Raquel. Okay, 4 times 4 is 16. So 2 times 16 minus 3. And now after we know this 3 in the parentheses, it would make no difference whether or not this parentheses is there. I'm fine with just leaving it. If you want to still write it there, you can as well. Now, do we also have this exponent we can do at the same time?
No. Yeah.
You can. Yeah, there's no worries about doing this one at the same time or not. If you would rather wait, we can wait. But it's not going to affect this out here. So we can do this exponent at the same time if you want. What is 2 squared? 4. Okay. Now what's our next step here? Parentheses. Okay, what do we still have in the parentheses, Raquel? 16 minus 3, and that is 13. So we have 2 times 13 plus 4, okay? And if you wanted to wait to do this 2 squared till this step, that's perfectly fine as well, okay? You just have 2 squared now, and it'd be 4, we'd end up at the same spot. Any questions on that of why we'd end up at the same spot? Why it was okay for us to do this exponent at the same time, any of that? Anyone not understand that? Gucci. Okay, what is 2 times 13? Okay, Brady. 26 is correct. So now we have 26 plus 4. Okay, and what is 26 plus 4? Okay, let's go, Sarah.
30.
It is 30. Very good. Now, could we have figured out what this ended up equaling if we didn't have what to plug in for x, y, and z?
No.
No. Okay, and if we were to plug in different numbers, would it change what we get? Yeah, it totally would. Okay. So any questions on this today? All right, so that's our notes over our order of operations. Since I am a meanie head, I do have another worksheet, but I think it's a more fun than just a typical worksheet. Okay. I'll talk about what to do with that in a moment. Okay. I mean, I think it's more fun than like a normal one. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you're gonna want like 20 of them, but you know.
It was more fun than a worksheet.
No, we're being
Oh.